How does a man walk into court and say he's a lawyer with no qualifications? The man you're about to meet did just that for 2 long years. He's a self-confessed fraud and he's destroyed lives.
No one believed this more than I did. Having been charged, having spoken to other professionals that no, I'm not a lawyer, which is why I've pled guilty.
My initial reaction was, he's very polished. He's someone who has really thought about this.
The normal suit and tie, knew exactly what he was talking about.
What he's doing is destroying people who really, really need help. I'm just devastated.
Alexander Stewart Pinnock has been living in a fantasy land since 2021. He genuinely believed he was a fully qualified Australian lawyer. But Alex is a fraud with no real degree. Tonight you'll hear the extraordinary story of a man with a mental illness who was so convinced he was able to practice law that his clients and his colleagues believed it too.
Alex Pinnock is a fake lawyer, but he convinced himself he was legit.
I love the law, to be honest.
Alex's web of lies began when he got his hands on this piece of paper.
I received my legal qualifications at Charleston State University in South Carolina in the United States.
But Alex never went to that university because it doesn't exist. Charleston State University is a website that offers fake degrees for life experience. For one like Alex's, it'll cost you just $349 US. The website is so convincing, Alex believed his degree was real.
It was not a study course. It was all granted under recognition of prior learning.
Alex believed his previous experience as a ranger for the City of Sydney, coupled with qualifications he says he has in investigations and business studies, were enough to equip him with a law degree without ever studying. But at least one institute, TAFE Queensland, where he claims to have obtained a diploma in business studies, says it has no record of him ever attending.
I received the certificate. I sent it the next day to the New South Wales Law Society along with an application for associate membership. They reviewed it. I received a telephone call saying it had been approved. I've then used that membership number and to gain interstate recognition in South Australia and Victoria.
And so began Alex's career as a fake lawyer under the alias Alex Stewart.
To quote one of the magistrates I appeared in front of, I have a sledgehammer approach to the law.
Alex Stewart was a busy man. He had clients in New South Wales, South Australia and Victoria. He was raking in thousands of dollars from people who thought he was a lawyer.
I lived in a luxury hotel for 2.5 years, or hotels I should say, throughout Australia. I drove a BMW. I flew around Australia, 3 times a week. It was a great life.
Yvonne Borg engaged Alex Stewart to help her with a case against her local council in regional Victoria.
For putting a shed up in my backyard, or my husband did, and they went me because of being the owner of the property, and I got a fine for $49,000.
So Yvonne searched for a lawyer online and Alex Stewart got in touch.
I found peace in what he was saying to me for some reason, like I was speaking to somebody that knew the law.
Yvonne was desperate for Alex's help but had no money.
I gave him $7,500, which I borrowed from Centrelink and my 2 sons. Then he was here for the VCAT hearings. But at that time, I also noticed he never said a word.
Yvonne and her husband took down the shed, but still don't know what's happening with their fine or the thousands of dollars they paid Alec.
He even cuddled me and kissed me when I was crying. You don't console somebody when you're ripping them off.
Stephen Wiseman needed a lawyer after finding out the land he bought in South Australia had been an illegal dumping ground. So he put an ad up online and Alec came calling.
And literally, he was the only one that actually got back to me.
Alec got Stephen to pay $3,380 up front.
When did you start to become suspicious?
Was when there was a WebEx meeting organised to meet me on site. I hung around for 2 hours, never showed, and that's when, obviously, trying to make phone calls.
It wasn't just civil cases Alec touched. He also pretended to be a criminal lawyer, posting this on social media.
First mention, was a tad nervous. Decided to spark up a conversation with the prosecutor for 10 minutes and noticed he was in a very jovial mood. Walked into the courtroom at 9:30 a.m. when he informed me he was just a local solicitor, all in good fun.
The vast majority of my clients were very happy with the services that I provided them. We had successful outcomes. It was professional. Nobody had any reason to complain.
Alex claims he was diagnosed with schizophrenia in 2014 and has been experiencing psychosis for the past 6 months.
Having schizophrenia, that's the definition of it, is not really being aware of truth from reality.
But in February this year, he was brought back to reality by the Law Society of New South Wales, which worked out the truth and charged him. The facts are that Alex Pinnock emailed the Law Society in January 2022, claiming his car had been broken into and his ID card had been stolen and he needed a replacement. He provided the Queensland Law Society with a fake Australian practicing certificate in a bid to work there. He claimed he'd been admitted to practice in New South Wales in January 2020, which was a lie. He also provided a fake certificate of fitness and good standing. Alex claims he worked with up to 50 clients, dealing with around $1 million in fees and client money.
It's catastrophic, the damage that I've caused. It really is.
James Marsh from the Law Society of South Australia.
Can you believe someone who has a fake law degree from a university that doesn't exist was able to walk into our courts, act as a lawyer, issue subpoenas, issue whatever he needed to as a lawyer? How does that happen?
One can only assume that there's been a breakdown in the systems somewhere along the line.
Alex Pinnock was back at the bar table today only because it was his own sentencing. He was spared jail time, instead copping a $3,500 fine and a community corrections order.
What's your advice to anyone who plans on being a fake lawyer?
Don't do it, it's not worth it.
Probably the last time you'll be able to stand up in a courtroom.
Absolutely, yeah, and it's bittersweet.